In the quiet farmland of La Porte, Indiana, a thick plume of smoke coiled into the morning sky on April 28, 1908. The sight of Belle Gunness's farmhouse engulfed in flames drew neighbors from miles around, their frantic cries echoing across the countryside. By the time the fire was extinguished, the scene left behind was one of devastation and horror. Among the charred ruins, investigators found a macabre discovery: the remains of 4 bodies. 3 were children, their small forms tragically unmistakable, but the 4th, an adult woman, sent a shiver through the gathered crowd. The corpse was headless, and while authorities quickly assumed it was Belle Gunness herself, whispers of doubt began to spread. Those who knew Belle, a towering, nearly 6-foot-tall woman of immense strength, couldn't help but notice the body was far too small to be hers. For years, Belle Gunness had been a formidable figure in the La Porte community. Born Brynhild Paulsdatter Sturseth in Selbu, Norway in 1859, she emigrated to America in search of prosperity. But prosperity, it seemed, followed a peculiar pattern in Belle's life. Her first husband, Mads Sorensen, died under mysterious circumstances in 1900, conveniently on the one day his 2 life insurance policies overlapped. Officially, it was ruled a stroke, but those closest to him murmured about poisoning. Belle, unfazed, collected the payout and moved on. In 1902, Belle married Peter Gunness, a widower with 2 children. Within months, Peter met a grisly end. Belle claimed a heavy meat grinder had fallen from a high shelf, crushing his skull. Few believed her story, least of all Peter's older daughter, who ominously told classmates, "My papa has been killed. Mama hit him with a meat cleaver." The girl mysteriously disappeared soon after, never to be seen again. Despite, or perhaps because of, these tragedies, Belle flourished. She used the insurance money from Peter's death to buy a sprawling farmhouse on the outskirts of La Porte. It was here that her legend would take root, entwined with mystery and death. Belle began placing personal ads in Norwegian-language newspapers, seeking a partner in life. Her words were inviting, promising companionship and a share of her farm's prosperity. Men from across the Midwest responded, often arriving at her farm with their life savings in hand, eager for a new start. None of them were ever seen again. Neighbors noticed the frequent arrival of suitors, but rarely their departure. Belle explained away the disappearances with ease. Her potential matches, she said, simply didn't work out or had returned home. Still, questions lingered. Why did Belle often buy large quantities of lye, a substance used to dissolve organic material? And why did the air around her farm sometimes carry a strange, sickly sweet smell? These suspicions came to a head after the fire. As authorities combed through the ashes of Belle's farmhouse, they unearthed a shocking sight: a hog pen filled with bones, human bones. The earth surrounding the farm seemed to hide even more secrets. Investigators began digging, unearthing burlap sacks containing dismembered remains. The scale of the discovery was staggering. Men who had been reported missing, many of whom had been in contact with Belle, were now being unearthed, one after another. Estimates of her victims ranged from 14 to 40, though the true number may never be known. The headlines screamed with tales of the Hell's Belle of Indiana, a woman who, with chilling precision, lured men to her farm, took their money, and ended their lives. Yet, the most haunting question of all remained unanswered. Was Belle herself dead, or had she escaped? The headless body found in the fire was the centerpiece of the mystery. Physicians who examined the corpse noted that it seemed far too petite to be Belle, whose imposing frame was well known. Adding to the intrigue, Belle had emptied her bank accounts just days before the fire, withdrawing over $1,000, a small fortune at the time. Witnesses claimed to have seen her shopping in town on the eve of the blaze, calm and unbothered. Suspicion quickly fell on Ray Lamphere, Belle's former hired hand. Lamphere had been infatuated with Belle, but she had spurned him when he became too possessive. Their relationship had turned bitter, culminating in Belle firing him shortly before the fire. Authorities arrested Lamphere for arson and murder, but under questioning, he revealed a startling confession. According to Lamphere, Belle had planned the fire herself. She had grown paranoid in the weeks leading up to it, convinced that law enforcement was closing in. Belle had supposedly lured a housekeeper to the farm, murdered her, and used her body as a decoy in the fire. Lamphere claimed Belle had fled, taking her money and disappearing into the night. The story sent shockwaves through Porte. Was it possible that Belle Gunness, the woman responsible for so much death, was still alive? Reports of Belle-like women began to surface across the country, though none were ever confirmed. Some claimed to see her in Chicago, others in New York or even California, but Belle always seemed to vanish before anyone could verify her identity. As the years passed, the farm became a grim tourist attraction. Curious visitors walked the grounds where Belle's victims had been unearthed, pondering the chilling depths of her crimes. Families of the missing mourned their loved ones, lost to the machinations of a woman whose greed and cunning knew no bounds. Today, the legend of Belle Gunness endures. She is remembered as one of history's most prolific and enigmatic female killers. Her motives were clear: money and power. But her ultimate fate remains shrouded in uncertainty. Did Belle truly perish in the fire, or did she outwit everyone, vanishing to start anew under a different name? The bones buried on her property serve as a grim reminder of the evil that once lurked in the Indiana countryside. And somewhere in the shadows of history, the question lingers: is Belle Gunness truly gone? Or is the Hell's Belle still out there, her dark deeds long buried but never forgotten?